I decided to try something different with the little dog, as she is the most reactive dog I've ever owned, and I've had well over 1,000 dogs now. Pit bulls, Rottweilers, almost every type of Mastiff imaginable, lots of band dogs, and the Malinois and Dutch Shepherds. And her reactivity it's just unbelievable when you're out. She has gotten better. She works best on a prong, as she seems to respect that and settles down quickly. She's getting used to wearing an e-collar, as I purchased her a mini educator. It does amp her up a little bit, so I'm spending extra time conditioning her to it. She really doesn't care about correction. A lot of the time that just gets her a little bit hotter. So I decided to do what I did with my other dog, my Dutch Shepherd Vivid, as when she was about 4 months old, she started muzzle training, as her human aggression was pretty hot. She had no problem just going over and nailing somebody. So I used a muzzle, and that right away she knew. It took the power away out of her mouth, and I started taking her into large crowds right away with the muzzle on, walking her through crowds, doing all her obedience, taking her into stores, and she didn't show in any way that she had any aggression. She behaved like a great dog. People had no idea, and with that I was able to get her to learn how to act around people in public without being reactive. And I think that might be the trick for this little dog. That way she can't be barking, screaming, doing all of that, and people aren't going to look over, as unfortunately it's very hard to discipline, especially a small dog, in public. And when you see a little dog that only weighs about 9 pounds wearing a pinch collar and an e-collar, people look, make judgment, don't realize that you're just trying to help the dog live a better life. So I did 2 things. One, I bought a little muzzle for her, which should work. I have a good feeling this is going to be the solution. And I made her a new collar, as it's impossible to find a dominant dog collar small enough to fit a Chihuahua, so I made my own. I used to make them in the past and had completely forgotten about it. So this will fit nice and super tight, high on the neck. It won't slide down, and it won't look as bad as the pinch collar unfortunately looks on a small dog. So very soon we're going to start going out and doing some work, as it's still cold here. It's starting to warm up. I plan to get lots of work in with the muzzle before it gets hot, as once it gets hot and summer starts, she won't be able to use it, and by then we'll just be working with the e-collar and her dominant dog collar, hopefully. That'll be the plan. Both dogs are getting ready to come in heat soon, so between heat cycles and freezing cold winter weather, it's been next to impossible to get the little one out. She's been out a few times doing some work, and she's come around really well. But when she gets hot, she just doesn't want to back down. And I could get her to stop, and it would require a good correction. However, the problem is, if anybody saw a good correction on a dog her size, it's going to look pretty bad, just because she's so little. So when I take her out for her first session with the muzzle, I'm sure I'll run into a few people on the way. I'm hoping and planning to be able to film it, just to show that using a simple thing like a muzzle can actually help create better behavior in the dog, especially a dog that's reactive, just because it shuts down the mouth. They can't bark and they can't bite, and you remove that power from them, they know it right away, and they learn that if they're not screaming and yelling and making a scene, that things are still okay. As at this time now, she believes all her behaviors keep those people away, so it'll show her another way, which will help turn her into a good dog. Hey, Squid. You little brat.